Good morning. Good morning. Jab of Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Hey.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us and having a wonderful way of starting the day. Today is going to be a wonderful one. It is sunny. It is beautiful. I have the most handsome man in the world to my left. I'm lucky I have him with me as a co-host this morning. I have something we have to do right away. Are you ready, Gavin? We don't do this for everybody.
Yes.
He's a regulator. Huh? He's a moderator. He's a regular. Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday to Mr. Oh My God Squirrel. This is nuts, Mr. Brian Tracy. Brian, happy birthday, buddy. You are out there going at 100 miles an hour, being the amazing person that you are. And 100%, I want you to know thank you. Thank you for being amazing. Thank you for being you.
Happy birthday, brother.
Get on your motorcycle, travel. Bye, Gavin. He's already had enough of me this morning. And happy birthday. I guess I'm going to start the show by myself. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Today's going to be a great episode. Today we have special guests. You look good. Good morning, Squirrel and Jess. Happy day. Thank you guys for all the love, he says. Gavin, what'd you get into last night, my friend?
Last night I went to Teams Bar and Grill in Berea, and I did some trivia. It was pretty fun, actually. Yeah, it's always a good night doing trivia. So the first game at the very end, I had like 3 teams tied, and when I have a tiebreaker, I ask questions with no multiple choice, and they get significantly harder because I'm the one who made the questions. So the first question was like, Mg is the chemical symbol for what compound? Or for what element?
Magnesium.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Not Mg, Hg. So yeah, you're right. And then I did another one where I was like, what country produces the most coffee?
Do you have options, or is this just straight answers?
No. These are Tokyo's right. Mercury for Hg. You were right for magnesium. I said the wrong thing. But anyway, I do have the answers, but these are tiebreakers, so there's no multiple choice. That's the point.
That's actually my answer as well. I 100% was going to do Brazil.
Yeah, that's the correct answer. And then
perfect. Give me another one. Come on. We're doing this. Come on, guys.
What was my third one? Bloody hell, I can't remember. But I do remember the last one, because by the end of the second round, there was a lot of teams. So it ended up going over like half an hour than it usually does. And I was getting tired and hungry. I was getting tired because I was hungry. I was hungry because I hadn't eaten anything. And I was like, all right, I just need to end this game. So I have 2 teams that are both tied for first place. And I say, how many inches in a mile?
Inches?
How many inches in a mile? Because this is something that everybody has been told at least twice, and you always forget it.
Well, there's 5,280 feet in a mile, so that times 12. 525,600
minutes.
My favorite is the moderator in the backspace right now.
Yeah.
Like the complete, like, oh God. Oh, I
Well,
hate
it
my
was
life
funny
right now.
because I had one team who got the answer right on the dot, and then the other team was like they were feeling the pressure, like, oh, we're gonna do the math, we got it, we're gonna do lateral math. I look at them, I go, how the hell do you know how to do lateral math, but you don't know the answer to this question? And then they yelled at me and told me to shut up.
They told you to. So, all right, how many?
Well, they
inches?
said it not very nicely, but yeah, that's what something. It's 36.
36. I don't think he's right, guys. I think we lost Gavin. How do you measure a year? Gavin's been frozen. He sits there. He does nothing new. He doesn't even move. You can see he's Gavin. I'm waking up the. Okay, so if there's 5,002, you know what, Gavin, I'm going to remove you and I'm going to do this. Cliffhanger is right. So there's 5,280 feet, 5,280. Brett, we're doing math together, buddy, until Gavin's internet comes back and he brings himself in. I would honestly say, I cannot unmute you, Brett. 5,280 would be 60. It's almost 64,000. So 63,800 something. Nope.
Yeah. 5,280
times 12 inches in a foot.
Yes, that is correct. Last time I checked, anyhow.
So that would be 64,000, right? Like right under it.
63,360.
Jessica Dugas must be feeling really good lately. She has had a lot of fun. She has been jumping in on things. That's what I got, Sherry McQueen. Like, honestly, that was a good question. Gavin, are you good, buddy?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. It was a cliffhanger there for a minute. Like, you were just sitting there. Like, we didn't know where you were.
Can you see me?
We can see you. You were frozen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't see or hear, or I can hear you, but I can't see you guys. Yeah, no, 36,000 or 63,360 was the answer.
So technically, Brett and I were right.
Yeah, and how do you get through a mile? One step at a time.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Very well said. Brett, before I send you back to the backstage, tell us about what you got into last night and how you're doing, my friend. Bring us some positivity.
Hey, it's always good when you get your tax stuff into the tax person.
Correct.
And even before the normal tax day. I mean, almost every year I send that stuff in, like, after the extension is over. So getting it done this early in the year is something that I feel good about because it's done and over with. I don't have to screw around with it anymore.
Nice.
I love
Congratulations.
it. I love it. 100%. Yes.
So I hate paying taxes.
Well, it's a stressful thing because, like, all of a sudden you're like putting things together, you're trying to get stuff done, and then all of a sudden you're like, son of a bee, the government's going to come after me. At least that's how I felt when my taxes were behind, Them
damn revenuers are coming around, and I'm going to.
I thought that's what the whatchamacallit was for, the census people.
The census people?
Yeah, they came around to make sure you paid your taxes.
I thought they were for population.
They are. That's the joke. That's why Brett's laughing at me. Do you guys want to know an interesting fact? I'm going to have some fun with you here. All right. So Jesse Owens. If I say that name, does everybody know who that name is?
Yes.
I know the name. I don't know who the person is.
You know the name because I walked around downtown Cleveland and showed it to you.
Okay. Oh, is it the guy with the statue? Is that we saw?
All right, you ready? That's 100% what I want. I got one. I got refunded. I want refunded. Gavin,
yeah.
I talked to you about this, and this is the fact I was about to give. Brett, what made Jesse Owens so famous?
Well, he was really kind of he broke records in running, and he broke records because he was the first black man to do a lot of this. So
I love it. I went to high school with Owens. I did not.
Really?
He couldn't have. He's my age.
He might have gone to school with a Jesse Owens.
I don't
think the one you're talking about.
Brandon, I barely recognize his name. How the hell would I know his age?
No. I'm calling him out on that.
Yeah,
Mike Herzog. I'm calling him out. I know who that is. I'm saying there's no way you went to high school with him. He did Tokyo Bento. He messed up Hitler's plan. Now, ready for some fun on this? So, what made his name? Did you know his name is not Jesse Owens?
I did know that because you told me.
That I didn't know.
So what happened was when they were going around doing the census, and this is back in the 1920s or before, they were going around. He was outside as a kid playing, and the census person, his name James, I forget his actual first and middle name, but it made JC, and they thought that they said JC Owens, and it got turned into Jesse Owens, and it stuck as his nickname. So if you were to go back and look at the census, Jesse Owens' name is spelled incorrectly, and it stuck for the rest of his life. And he became a world changer with a name that wasn't even meant to be.
Well, and that's actually, a lot of the immigrants that came into the United States, actually, their name was changed when they were going through Liberty Island, and it ended up something that was an Americanized version or some other version because they couldn't figure out how to spell the name when they said it in their native language. So a lot of people have names that are kind of like that. No, I have gotten a couple hours of sleep too.
Oh, are you sure about that?
Yes, I am. It just takes a while for my brain to function this early in the morning then.
You know what I do think is kind of funny about that situation? Like, because it isn't funny, it's actually really disrespectful and screwed up. We just change all these people's names. But the fact that, a bunch of people came over and built an entire country off land, like fighting other people, the weather, having no real resources, like regularly available to them. They had to go out and actually get them from the earth. Yep. And then we're too lazy to learn a damn name, just how to say it. We don't even need to say it a lot. We just need to say it once to write it down.
So I honestly think that it's not just that. I think it's like it was the way you go around. It actually was a person taking the name. It's a very easy mistake they could have made. Yeah. And TurboTax wasn't there to make sure they were a real person at that time, unfortunately. So otherwise we might have had to realize. Tokyo Bento here to help. Mandy Atterbury said, so Sherry asked Mandy, like, wait, why not? Is there different in the UK? And she said, yes, we have the tax man do it for us. Love that. Oh. How do I get a tax man that I don't have to pay that's an accountant to give me their opinion at the same time? Just curious.
Do you ever think about like how easy it used to be to, like, since they didn't have people keeping track of everybody the way that they do now, how easy it used to be to just get away with stuff? Like, if you like, no, like if you had a mask on and you like robbed a store or something like that, you probably just got away. If you got around the corner fast enough, you probably just got away.
I have nothing for you on this. Well, yeah, because like, that's how even like going it was to rob a bank.
Not a bank, just like a store. Or like
a time frame. You're so much younger. Give me a time frame of when people were robbing banks in just a mask and running away. Are you picturing like the Wild West?
Oh, if we're gonna talk about that, they didn't even wear masks. They got dressed up for the occasion. They're like, hey, if anybody asks, say that Brandon and Gavin were here. And then they'd shoot their name into the wall. Like, what? It was stupid easy. It's like pride in it. It was like getting ready for Sunday church. Like,
touche.
Yeah.
All right. So, Brett, before you go back to the back and be our moderator, thank you for that, by the day. throw something you're grateful for everybody out there to start our gratefulness.
You know, I'm really grateful. I was just thinking about this morning, and I'm happen to wear one of my Air Force shirts. I'm actually grateful to have spent 20 years associated with the United States Air Force because I loved being in the military. I didn't always love the policies that we supported, but I loved being in the military. I love the camaraderie. I love the fact that when you're in the military, you know that the people next to you they got your back. You may not always agree with each other, but you understand the mission, and you know that person is going to try to keep that ball from hitting the ground if you are trying to juggle too many things at one time. When I left the military and went into the private sector, I found just how I don't know if die hard's the right word. Sometimes backstabbing people can be because they're trying to get ahead of you, and there's not a common focus on a specific mission. So it is really, you know, I'm grateful to have spent really the first 20 years of my career associated with the military, either as an active duty Air Force, which I did for 8 years, or 12 additional years when I was in the reserve and supporting the Air Force as part of the reserve. So that's what I'm grateful for.
I love that. I love that.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
So guys, Brett is behind in the back. He's going to be helping bring the comments up. He's going to be scrolling banners across the bottom like this one. Don't forget to subscribe, bring your family and friends, things like that. He'll be helping us bring our guests in. He'll be helping us with other things. We are honored to have Brett Gordon not only helping, but joining us in building a better community for the future. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Brett Gordon. I am grateful for you today.
Thank you. It's grateful to have
Thanks, Brett.
To know you guys, and we'll stay back here and take a look at what's going on.
You got it,
Sounds
buddy.
good.
So, Gavin, all right, buddy.
Yeah.
You ready? What are you grateful for today? And ladies and gentlemen, I want everybody to help us today. Start throwing something even as small as you're grateful you have a cup of coffee, that you have a bathroom, that you have a warm blanket that kept you warm last night and slept. Whatever it may be, throw up something grateful that you're grateful for in here. Don't literally throw it up, but throw it on the board.
Well, first, a little thing that I'm grateful for. You know when your internet doesn't work and you have that cute little T-Rex there that's waiting when it says no internet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually a game that you play where you just hit the arrow keys up and down to make them jump and duck. And so I'm grateful for that right now. While I've been trying to get my computer back and running so I can be properly logged into StreamYards and see everything that's going on, I've just been kind of just dodging these pterodactyls and cacti this whole time.
And then...
fun. Oh, it's a blast, yeah. Oh, did I beat it? Oh no, StreamYard's loaded. Awesome, cool.
Oh my god! So technically, that's a win. All right, ready?
Well, you're able to beat the game. That it's a possibility. And then the other thing that I'm grateful for, this is actually a more serious thing. I'm in pain right now, and I'm grateful for that. I'm in physical pain from the workout yesterday, and then
right?
I got not a whole lot, but like I feel it like in my triceps and my back especially, in the muscle there. I feel that a little bit in my legs and my core as well. So I'm very grateful for that pain. And then I'm in some emotional pain as well too. I got some stuff going on in life that's very stressful and unfortunate, but I'm also grateful that I'm feeling this pain, because it teaches you. Pain is a lesson, and
right.
I've gone through these pains before, and the physical one makes me stronger, which I'm very excited about, because I was at a very very great space where I was very happy with myself, and then I stopped working out for quite a while, so I'm excited to get back to there. And then I've experienced this emotional pain before as well, and I know how to get through it. And while it doesn't get easier, it just becomes more familiar, and I know that there are different things that I'm going to be learning from it. So I'm excited to learn, and I'm excited to grow.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Sherry McQueen is saying how she's grateful for her Reiki training and all of the issues she needs to heal from. I think that's a very big thing everybody needs to talk about. I think that having that be something as a reason you're grateful to get a beautiful walk and go for a walk today, for the soul and their support. I literally, right before the show, I had my Reiki / hypnosis session, and it's why I was like right before the show coming in. And truth be told, you can't see it on my face, but I am grateful that I have been blessed with the people that have come into my life that have taught me and worked with me and seen the difference in who I am and want to help bring out the best in Brandon. And being open to the universe has been a huge change in my life. I'm grateful that we have people like Brett Gordon that tell us, "Oh, it hurts so good." Yeah, that's right. I sang it. I'm on a roll with singing today. Mandy Atterbury, we're so grateful you are here spending time with all of us today. We are loving the good community we're building. I am grateful for feeling better today, but also proud of myself that I rested yesterday. We absolutely love that you rested yesterday. You spent the day in bed. Your kids helped you. The best Brandon is one hell of a guy. Aw, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that, Brian. I literally, I'm grateful because yesterday Gavin and I got a great show, and then I actually got to do my night show with Joe, and we had on.
How'd that go?
Buddy, I have to be honest, it was one of my favorite episodes we've ever done. Like,
Good.
these two girls came on, they're deaf, and we're using sign language. They're reading my lips and all that on the screen. The menu behind you has an eye on you. I love that, Brett. But like we had the conversation, and to hear a 17-year-old explain that when she was born, she literally thought when she was growing up, she's like, my being deaf is a negative thing. And her sister, who's 15 now, was saying the same thing. And where they're at now is a huge difference. We talked about how the one, she is 13 or 15 years old. She wants to be a tattoo artist, and she drew all these amazing, amazing pictures, and she was showing them on air. And I literally was like, her mom and I talked about her being depressed and having issues that she's had and things like that. And her mom was like, you can talk to Brandon. He loves you and your sister very much. He's your uncle in a sense. And so she and I came up with a plan. She's going to draw a crest for mental health awareness during this month. And then at the end of the month, her and I are going to go, and I'm actually going to get it tattooed on me because I want her to know that you should follow your dreams and don't let something like that hold you back. Her sister, on the other hand, McKenna, is a junior getting ready to go to prom. And McKenna has a wisdom like you, Gavin. It is just amazing to watch her develop. She's getting ready to go to college, and she's starting to apply to places. She's only applied to 2, and she's got accepted to both. One of them is Harvard Medical School. And being deaf and getting into a school like that is something most people would think is unattainable. And she's like, bullshit, I got this.
I think most people in general would think that getting into Harvard is unattainable when like without any sort of extra hurdles in their way.
Yeah. Sherry McQueen's thanking Mandy, is grateful for Mandy teaching her something new today. Brett watched the show yesterday. He participated in the conversation, and I agree. They turned their hearing disability into ability, and they both phrased it in a way where, like, I want to take that 30-second segment about tell me what it's like to grow up knowing that you can't hear the world around you. How do you feel? And they both explained that their disability was not something that they thought was going to keep them back. They literally looked at it as the way that made them them and what separates them from everybody else. And I just am truly grateful that my life has been surrounded by amazing individuals like that. Brian Tracy's grateful he got his first round of shots yesterday from the Pfizer vaccine. So far, so good. He was tired for about an hour yesterday. Very mild soreness. I'm really glad you shared that, buddy. So quick question, and then we'll get ready because Christina should be here any second to talk about the book club, which you and her did the other day. How did that go?
Oh, it was phenomenal. We talked a lot about shame and guilt and vulnerability. That's what the vulnerability chapter was about. It was about the difference between shame and guilt and how we carry those with us, and then how we get over them as well.
Really? I have to be honest.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a fun conversation with her today.
Yeah.
So really quick, we're going to do the vaccine conversation really quick. Did you hear what the state of Ohio is doing? I'm watching Brett's face in the background too. So as of June 2nd,
I did not.
As of June 2nd, there is no mask mandate. There is no regulations on how many people have to be in a store, there or in a restaurant. There's the 6 feet is still there. And if you have not gotten your shot, okay, after June 2nd, if you are under the age of 18, they will pay for you to go to college to get your shot. And if you are over the age of 18 and get the shot, your name goes in a drawing to win $1 million. I am dead serious.
Get the what?
Dead serious.
How old do you need? How old do you need to be to get the shot? Really quick.
Man,
because I have a 10-year-old. I have a 10-year-old little brother, or 11. I have an 11-year-old little brother, and if he's eligible to go get the shot, I'm gonna tell my mother, hey, don't get him the shot until this age if you want free college. Like,
yep. Oh my gosh.
That's a hell of an incentive.
So really quick, everybody's making comments. There was a part last night where I was muted because they were having fun talking about how I never shut up, which liars. I'm never a talker. They literally I was muted and I was doing sign language, and we had so much fun. I was signing, and they actually said, like, before the show, they're like, honestly, Brandon, we haven't signed in a couple years. Their dad was deaf, and that was the main person who needed sign language. And when their dad left, they didn't do sign language as much anymore, even though their mom was an interpreter. They still know it. They still use it. But what's fun is the fact that they literally are able to be themselves. And I'm on here signing with them, and they didn't know some of the signs I was doing. And I'm like, okay, so maybe I'm doing this wrong. But it was an absolutely, All right. While you tell everybody,
That's
talk
awesome.
for a second, I'm going to pull up that article about the vaccination bribery.
Please do. That's one of the, stuff like this makes me actually appreciate America in like a weird, twisted sense. Cause like we do things for the longest time where it's like, hey, you don't have to get vaccinated. But then we also have things in place like, if your kids want to go to public school and stuff like that, they need these vaccination shots. We got things like that going on. So it's like you don't have to, but you do have to. And now we're just throwing that out the window and going straight up Las Vegas. So like, hey kid, you want some vaccines? They come with college.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
like this is almost. I mean, in a sense, this is how a lot of people get signed up for the military. They feel like they don't have anything going on for them in their life. So the military says, hey, you know what? We'll take you around the world. We'll pay for your college, stuff like that. We'll give you a career. We'll give you a family. And they're like, screw it. I'm not going to get into college without it. Let's do it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think it's actually a great thing. So this is a very strange and controversial opportunity, but I think overall it benefits the greater good, most definitely.
I agree. So I just shared in the links. This is from the AP News. I could easily give you 5 more articles because all I did was Google Ohio June 2nd. And there's over 100 articles from radio stations, news, all over. Here's my thing. And I'm being very raw with what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
I am a product of the 80s and 90s. And there are many people like me, so I'm nothing special. But like when you've been over-medicated and we're just starting to see the results of that. And that was because everybody was following the doctors and giving Ritalin and Adderall and all that. And then when life gets hard, Gavin's 21. And when he hits 28, he's going to be dealing with life stresses that change him for who he is. And it's his choice whether it's good or bad. But the thing is, when you have those big changes, if you have never dealt with them before and your family's never dealt with them before, like my family never dealt with a divorce, you go to the doctor, and when the doctor just keeps prescribing you medicines and putting more on you, you hit a point where you're not you. And when I'm going to bed at 10 p.m. and waking up at 4 p.m., that's a lot of sleep, and I could not break from it. And now you want me to get a shot that I'm saying I'm going to wait a year or two because I just don't feel comfortable. I want to see what's going on. And instead of respecting the boundary that you're telling me I'm free to have, you're trying to bribe me to go get $1 million or give my kids college stuff. I'm not.
I mean, you still have the option.
I do.
Is there a deadline for this? Is there a deadline for this thing? Is it like only on June 2nd? Or did it say starting June 2nd if you get your vaccination?
Starting June 2nd.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're going to have probably 3 to 4 months minimum to make that decision for it. You probably will have longer because think about how long it's taken everybody that they vaccinated now to get their shot.
Correct.
Like it's a slow process. It's not like a 1 day thing. It might, in all honesty, it might even be for a year.
Correct. You're.
I bet that it lasts 6 months to a year. Is how long you have this opportunity. I think that is plenty of time to contemplate and talk to your friends who have gotten the shot, talk to your friends who haven't gotten it, and if you have children too, think about their future and contemplate if it is or is not worth it to you. I think 6 months to a year is ample amount of time to make this decision.
I agree. I think, but at the same point, how do you force a hand? I'm already like everybody I know that's been vaccinated is on me. They're like, Brandon, I'll sign you up. I'll sign you up here. Go here. Go there. They send me links, and I'm like, look, it's not about not wanting to get the vaccine. I want to be vaccinated. You get a card, and it shows who you are. And you have to carry it with you.
Are your friends gonna say, show me the Carfax? Your friends gonna say that?
Hold on. Give me 1 second.
I'm not saying lie to authority. I'm not saying lie.
You're not saying anything I wouldn't. Mr. Herzog, if I said I got the shot, what would be the first question out of your mouth? Show me the card. I know him well enough. And they mean well. Yeah. Like they mean well. And this is where I'm at, Jessica. Sorry, her comment literally hit me. I will respectfully disagree. We do not know the long-term effects of this, there are things from 20 years ago we are still learning are good and bad, and that's 100% right. And I think Jessica said like that's exactly the way I feel, Jess.
I think that's too long of a time to be relevant, though. In all honesty, 20 years, like think about it this way: how much happens in 1 year? How much could happen to you in 20 years?
Correct.
Like, like if you have an issue and you end up getting this vaccination and it affects you in 20 years down the line, maybe you also got cancer in that 20 years. Maybe you lost a limb. Maybe there are other things already. Like,
yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
There's too much that could happen in 20 years to be worrying about, what's going to happen in 20 years.
Thank you. But the thing is, at the same time, you have to be willing to open up of who you are and know your boundaries. And I think that's the thing that pisses me off the most is our boundaries are what's being crossed on this. And that's like, you tell me to believe in me and have a balance of life, and then the boundaries get crossed. Hey, Brett, will you do me a favor and reach out to Christina? We sent the links over to her this morning, and she should be here because our guest is going to be here any minute. Gavin, did you freeze again?
No. Maybe I did. I don't know. I'm sorry that.
You're good.
Yeah, the way that I look at it, I kind of look at it like a religion. In all honesty, it's like, hey, you have your beliefs. Enjoy your beliefs. Don't try to force them on other people.
Right. You know. And Renee Bush, the FDA has only authorized for emergency use, and that's the thing. If it's emergency use, why can I go to? Where was it the other day? It blew my mind. It was like a shoe store. No, It was a coffee house in Cleveland, downtown, and they had a nurse sitting in the corner, and you could sign up to get your vaccine. When did this become okay? And look, I don't want to go down the road of this and what's good, what's bad, what's
wouldn't that make sense if it's for emergency use, as in a pandemic emergency, that you would want to distribute it as quickly as possible, so you'd want as many people as out there as possible to get others signed up for it?
But isn't it our choice still as individuals whether we go get it, and when people are already being reserved on it? You know what I'm saying?
It is your choice. Absolutely, it's your choice. But to have that available for people out there, it's not emergency use as in like an EpiPen kind of thing. It's emergency use as in, hey, this is a pandemic. We need to get as many people who want to be signed up as possible.
Correct.
Yeah.
Amen. There's a lot of people joining in on that part. So Gavin, while we're waiting for Christina to come in, do me a favor, talk about the book and what we were getting into. Because I see that we have Brett 2 times in the back.
Yeah, I noticed that. That just tripped me up.
I was ready to bring her in, and I almost Brett Gordon coming in again.
Yeah.
So tell me about what you and Christina talked about. This is Christina's Corner. Christina is a big reader. She focuses on being able to provide a wealth of knowledge, and we provide a digital audio copy of the book. We're doing Brene Brown's Daring Greatly right now. Episode 3 is being uploaded after today's show. I
want to see if it was Christina that the app just glitched.
I get it. Good idea. But for us, it's been, tell me about what you and her got into, because this was one where 99% of the vaccines. Hold on. I knew he'd answer. That's why I asked. Even if he's working, I know he hears my voice in the background because I'm loud. 99% of the vaccines that are severe side effects exhibit the side effects within 12 weeks of receiving the dose. Alarmists are plague rats. And you know what? I agree with that too. I do. I think it went with like both sides, like how serious this is to how bad it is. And I think that's where I think the human nature needs to come in. And that's where we need to be able to connect again, because I agree with you, Mike. And I also think that as people, we need to respect each other on the fact that, and this is not saying you and I haven't, because I love you to death, brother. It's being able to know that I would like to just wait a little bit longer. Have a great one, Mandy Atterbury. We love you. Thank you for stopping by. For real, love you, girl. Have a great one. Keep the good work up. But for me, I try to keep myself in an understanding, because I've known less people that got COVID and had nothing than people who didn't get COVID but got the shot and had severe reactions. And that's where I have it's because of knowing, like, my friends to a couple colleagues. Oh, there he is. This is
okay. Well, how about this? Polio, tetanus, measles, for example, just 3 off the top of my head. Those all had vaccines, and how much do we really worry about those anymore?
Correct.
You know, when you do hear about them, smallpox is another one. You know, when we do hear about them, is we actually are starting to have outbreaks throughout the country of these diseases yet again because of people not vaccinating their children. And we have small outbreaks in the U.S. now because of it. It's a scary thing, you know. Anytime you put something in your body that naturally would not be there, it's scary. But we also do it all the time when you think about it. It's just when it's a new thing is when it becomes scary, and that's perfectly understandable. We also got to remember that these are professional people who studied their entire life. Generations have studied their entire life to be able to do these things and get better at it each time. It's essentially it's the same puzzle. However, it just gets more difficult each time they need to make a new vaccine for a new disease. But as a human race, we're getting better at solving these puzzles. And honestly, I believe that it'll get to the point where one day all these things will be in the dictionary, like measles. Measles was, and it'll say what the disease was. You know, polio was, it'll say that. Eventually, it'll say things. COVID was, hepatitis was, cancer was. And it'll get to the point where we'll start making diseases for fun, just to in a lab. We'll make them, and then we'll figure out how to cure them before nature even has the opportunity to.
I agree. Christina from Christina's Corner has just responded, and she said that she will be on in a second. She was waiting from a message to say, "Hey, I'm ready. We're ready for you to come on." I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Well, she told me she was going to stand by, so I thought that just meant she was going to sit in the background.
It's good. Dive into the chapter, buddy, and that way we know what's being released today.
So today was chapter 3. It was all about, the whole book is about a vulnerability, and today's episode, or this chapter 3, was about the difference between shame and guilt. What it means to feel ashamed, how to get over being ashamed of things, and it actually goes a lot into parenting as well. It goes into what it is to be guilty, how to get over that. I'm trying not to reveal too much, just because I know she and I are going to have a great conversation about it. But I actually opened up quite a bit about the shame that I felt.
Ooh. All right, let's dive into that, because I'll go into it too. So this book that you're reading is literally about being able to unzip your skin, open up to vulnerability, but it also is about creating boundaries, which goes along with what we've been talking about this morning. As everybody out there, we're talking about being vulnerable to have this conversation. It's a heavy one. How would you describe? I have some good news, ladies and gentlemen. Gavin, talk to me about how you would describe what
shame and guilt.
Saying of it. Yes, that's the words.
So the way it's defined is Hi, Christina. First of all, I want to say sorry. When you said you were going to stand by, I thought you meant you were just going to hang out in the back lobby until we brought you in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. English is difficult. It's good to see you.
It is.
You too.
Yeah, that's why we started learning Mandarin, just because it might be easier.
Yeah. We are actually talking about what we talked about, chapter 3. I'm about to tell them about the difference between shame and guilt, and which you and I had an absolutely wonderful conversation about. We probably easily ate up an hour. We probably could have talked for another 2. But the difference between shame and guilt is that shame is something that you are. When you're shameful of something, it's your personality, it's your being, it's something that you often feel like you can't change, like a personality trait. Then guilt is what you feel bad about the actions that you've done. Yep. So there, and I started to explain that there are parts of me that I'm ashamed about, that I'm trying to work on and fix, and I'm guilty about the things that those parts of me have done. And so I'm trying to forgive myself and forgive others for the things that I've done, and get forgiveness from others for the things that I've done, those things I'm guilty about. And then I'm trying to foster and get rid of the shame, that part of me that I've made much smaller as I've grown, but there's still part of it there that I really want to get rid of. I really want to work on it.
Yeah, that is, you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like shame says I am bad, and then guilt says I did something bad. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. So like, let's say you have a habit of stealing, then you're guilty for every time that you stole.
Right.
But you're shameful for the fact that you are a stealer in a sense. You're a thief. That's where your guilt is. So you have to try to make amends with the wrongs that you've done and try to right those wrongs, as many as you can, if not all of them. And then you have to figure out ways. You got to find the source. So you got to find the source. Why do I steal? What caused me to start stealing? Once you find the source, then you can tackle that, and you can say, okay, I accept this, I understand it, I need to move on from it. Yeah. And then from there, you acknowledge, so you've acknowledged the issue, you've acknowledged the source. Now you need to think, how am I going to stop myself from doing that? Yeah. Okay, maybe I go into a store, and the first thing maybe I have like a bell around my wrist or something. When I hear it ring, that reminds me, hey, don't steal. It brings attention to me. People are now looking at me. I know they're looking at me because I have this bell. Maybe if you're really ballsy and you're really open, you work up to going up to the clerk as soon as you walk in the store and say, hey, I'm so sorry, but I have a really terrible habit of stealing. I just want to let you know, please keep an eye on me while I'm in the store. I'm going to do my best not to do so. I have nothing on me. I'm completely unarmed, but I have this issue that I'm trying to get over and trying to fix. So now you're doing something about it. And then the last thing you do is discipline. You need to be disciplined enough to follow through with those actions on how you're going to fix it. Follow through with those steps.
I love that. It's funny. You pretty much just outlined how to get through any kind of addiction.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
that's really what I had to do. It was like, and then the shame versus guilt was really freeing to me because, I mean, we can talk about this, but it's like, I don't think, like when I was in active alcohol addiction, I did things that I'm not proud of, that I could never imagine that I would do. But I don't think that inherently makes me a bad person. I don't think who Christina is to her core is a bad person. You know what I mean? And so in recovery, I had to learn, like, no, you're not a bad person. Like, you were in active addiction and you did bad things that you should feel guilty about. You know what I mean? And that's where I think that guilt can be a more productive emotion, whereas shame, you just stay in that shame. Cause like, that's what keeps a lot of alcoholics sick or addicts. It's like, well, fuck, I'm just a bad person. So I'm going to keep using, binging, hurting people, whatever. Whereas guilt is, there's hope. It's like, okay, I did this wrong, but I can get better.
Yeah, well, there's the song Somebody I Used to Know. There's a lyric in there, you can get addicted to a certain kind of sadness. I think that's absolutely true. And I think that addiction to the sadness is the shame. Because when you are addicted to something, you do feel shame about it. And what that does is it becomes this thin layer, this like lamination almost over the paper that is the event, the action that you did. And so you find comfort in that almost because there's something familiar about it. You have that horrible feeling linked with that great excitement of the shameful thing that you did. So that's part of what makes you come back to it. And then you find this strange addiction to feeling miserable, which then it starts to lead into depression and then self-doubt and all these anxieties. And it just kind of mixes together in the world's most terrible internal cake.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that question. I love what that person said, is regret the ugly stepchild. Okay, so that, I'd love to just jump on that if that's okay, because I think that is so good.
This is your section. This is your time. Like, here, hold on. Check out the banner I made for you. I did this just for you. You ready?
Yeah.
Join Christina in her corner of the world with a great book and an even better conversation. So people join your book club. Tell them the time that you're planning on being live and you're going to be going on. And that way we can, because this conversation is such a good one to have. Really? And I will bring his comment back up. But bringing people to the understanding of why we wanted to do a book club and what you're doing coming on here, because you are an inspiration. And I love how you are so into not just reading, but if you don't want to read, the digital copy. I will mute myself because I talk a lot.
You're fine. So my name's Christina and I do a book club where it's Daring Greatly with Brene Brown. And it talks about vulnerability and shame. It's mostly about vulnerability. But the correlation to shame is very high. And so that's kind of what me and Gavin talked about. But we do that on Mondays at 1 p.m. So we would love to have you. As Brandon said, you do not have to have read the book. I think you said, Gavin, that you listened to it. So, I mean. Yeah.
I went on YouTube, found the free audiobook, and then I actually put it on double speed. So I knocked it out in about 4 hours.
That's awesome. I mean, I haven't listened, but it's an easy read. So I think it would be an easy listen.
Yeah.
It would be an easy listen.
Yeah, absolutely. I fall asleep if I try to sit down and read a book, so that's why. Plus, I was at work. I was like, I usually just listen to music. I might as well be productive.
Yeah. No, love it. I mean, I think it's a great idea, and listening is great too, because you can clean or, I do stuff like that all the time when I'm driving, so that's awesome. So so you don't have to be a reader to join our book club. But I want to share, I think we all talked about it before we picked the book club, or picked the book for the book club, but this is a perfect book, I really think, for anybody. I'm in recovery from alcohol, so it's been super helpful for me, just like in my healing journey, learning to be vulnerable and the benefits, and then sometimes the downsides of vulnerability. But really anyone that feels like they're on some kind of journey and doesn't want to feel alone, daring greatly is definitely for you. And I think Gavin and I, gosh, yeah, we had a great conversation about, I mean, we really did. Like shame versus guilt was the one that came up the most, I would think. But I mean, we just talked about like getting outside your comfort zone. That was fun. I learned he's into UFC fighting now. No, I'm just kidding. And I'm, and so it was awesome, guys. So thank you. Oh, okay. So now let's go to that question. I liked it. Thanks for putting it back up here. Is regret the ugly stepchild? Man, I mean, I don't know if I have answers. I always like to be candid about that. But I can give you my lived experience. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I do have regrets from my drinking days, like when I was in active addiction. But I was just thinking about this. It's so interesting. If I hadn't done those things, right, or like struggled with addiction or hurt people, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And I know that sounds cliche and cheesy, but I really am the happiest that I've ever been.
Yeah.
The most peaceful, the most joyful. So like my shit and the things that I did that I do regret also have given me a lot. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I think it all depends on how long you sort of marinate in your regret.
Oh,
like I really think that for certain situations, like if you truly wronged somebody and stole something from them, like a bunch of money or something like that, maybe your regret lasts until you pay off that debt. Yeah. But if you were just rude to somebody, and you know that it'd be easier to fix it just by like taking them out to a nice lunch or simply apologizing or something like that, then I'll only regret it for that long. So if you continue to regret it for afterward, then you're really just harming yourself. You're just marinating in that sort of that cesspool of shame and guilt again. I saw a quote that said, what did it say? It was something along the lines of, if you do something wrong, feel shame about it once and then move on from it, or like feel guilt about it like once and forgive yourself once and then move on from it. Don't keep putting yourself down. Don't keep bringing up these things from the past when they're no longer relevant, was the gist of it. When things are no longer relevant, there's no point to it. That's when I think it becomes the ugly stepchild, when it's no longer a relevant situation, but you're still beating yourself down for it. You're still hurting yourself. You're still, feeling the shame and regret about it.
Yeah, I can speak to that actually, because that in recovery, like I would apologize to my husband in particular for all the things that I had done to him when I was in active addiction. And he was like, at some point you telling me this like makes the apology kind of less valid or less important, and it waters it down. He's like, because you keep apologizing, you keep saying you're sorry, you keep saying, you have all these regrets. And he's like, and this is a great boundary that he put. He's like, it's something you need to work on yourself. Like you need to figure out those feelings, but living in that regret isn't helping you anymore. So it's a good point, Kevin.
Yeah. And for anybody who is struggling with constantly apologizing when they do not need to apologize, I would recommend using the Ohioan apology, which consists of, oh, my bad. I think that is a great way to wean yourself out of that apology habit.
I am going to use that. I love that so much. I love that.
Next time you do, like, you actually bump into someone or like you're like kind of standing in somebody's way, just go, oh, my bad. And then you just go, yeah, you're good.
You know what? I don't know if I need more things. I live in Virginia to identify that I'm an Ohioan, because I already say you guys and pop, and I get so much shit for that down here. But anyway.
Is you guys an Ohioan thing?
I might be Midwest. I mean, everyone.
Were the Goonies from Ohio?
I don't know. I thought.
Hey, you guys.
I thought it was a Midwest thing, but.
Yeah, maybe.
I like that. My bad. And I feel like I do say that a lot, regardless. Like, I've experienced that, like where people are coming at me, especially as a female, and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, wait a minute, I had the right of way and I'm apologizing.
Yeah.
That's something.
Tokyo Bento has a fantastic question here. Do you dream in your sleep about shame, guilt, and regrets?
Yes. Yeah. My first year of recovery, man, I'm still in it. I'm like, I think 14 months sober or something, but absolutely. I mean, yesterday, I actually ran into someone that I had been intoxicated around and had a dream last night. Just kind of remembering. I don't really remember it, but I don't remember dreams as specifically as I wake up with the feelings from the dreams.
Yeah.
So drinking dreams are pretty common once you're in recovery, like that you did drink or you were that kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think it all depends on how much it weighs in your conscience as well too.
Yeah.
Like if it was something small, like I said, they're all situational things. It's not really black and white. If it's something small and you kind of just get over really quick, then you probably won't dream about it. Or maybe you'll randomly dream about it very, very later in the future. But if it's something that's a constant in your life, it's something you're constantly struggling with, then it's very, very probable that you will. It all depends how much sleep you get. If you're able to enter that dream state of sleep. I know a lot of people aren't, especially now because of COVID. Everybody's sleep schedule is all messed up, where they don't enter dream, they don't enter REM. They just kind of get the first early stages and then end up waking up before they really get into a proper deep sleep.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So tell me, since you two are already done talking about the book, chapter 3, tell me more about.
Go watch the episode.
Yeah.
I'm the one that has it in the back right here. I'm the one putting it up in a little bit. Tell me a little more about why this was such a different chapter. Because the first 2 chapters we talked about vulnerability. We talked about being raw with boundaries. This one was a little different because of the fact that it was about being able to break through these things. It was about being a little more raw. And this was one where it was just you two talking. Yeah. Okay. What made this connection to have an hour-long conversation about a chapter in a book that is about building your best you? What separated this that would get people to want to read the book or listen to chapter 3?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say for me, I think it's just the topic of shame in general. That's kind of like Brené's big, like what she studies. And I think, just the realization of like, well, it's interesting. You think you know what shame is, and then you read the actual definitions and you realize like, oh, maybe I don't, And then we touched, I mean, like I said, we could do 2 hours on it. It's a lot, but she talks about shame, embarrassment, guilt, and humiliation, and like the difference between all of those. And thanks, Sherry. That's so nice. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. You're all so sweet. Thank you. You guys are so nice. But yeah, so we talk about the 4, like the differences between like shame, humiliation, guilt, and anyway, you guys heard. I can't remember all 4, but I think they're important because I think we lump emotions all together. And for me, like I think that's huge. Is trying to you can't really work through an emotion unless you can identify it, if that makes sense. Yeah. And so for me, just even thinking about like we talked about embarrassment. I know me and Gavin were like bonding and just talking about like I started boxing and I'm not that great at it, and I'll like do a move wrong in front of the whole class and it's embarrassing. But then like once I do get corrected and do it right, like I feel amazing. So we were talking about how embarrassment can actually, these emotions, if we use them, can be catalysts for good things. Did you want to?
Absolutely. And the thing that I think that like why people would really want to watch this episode, specifically men. I feel like young men and middle-aged men would most definitely really benefit from watching this episode, because the thing about this chapter is not only does it teach you about shame and guilt and what the difference is, it teaches you how to deal with the majority of it on your own. It equips you with those tools. And the thing about these emotions is they are things you need to majority deal with on your own. You can reach out for help. You can talk to people. You can get advice. You obviously have to sometimes make amends with people or situations so others are involved. But Brandon, I cannot fix your shame for you. I cannot fix your guilt. Christina, I cannot fix your shame or guilt for you. Neither of you can do the same for me. It is a fight within us that we need to learn how to do on our own. And because of learning these steps and these tools, it doesn't give you the exact answer because everybody's situation is different, but it gives you an outline. It gives you some sort of like a path, at least, to try to figure out how to go about it. It shows you how to start it. It shows you how to continue. And then it shows you what to do after it's done.
Yeah, I love that so much. Yeah, and that really, I think you put it a perfect way, like a framework, almost guidepost, whatever, of how to deal with it. And I'm so glad you brought that up because we didn't even get to touch on it because, again, a lot of content. But she talks about men and shame. There's like a whole section in chapter 3 about like, I can't remember specifically, but she just talked about how like women and men feel shame. I think there's a really powerful story in this chapter where it was just like a man came up to her after one of her speeches.
Yeah.
Do you remember, you know what I'm talking about? And he's like,
I do actually. I almost started tearing up during it in the middle of work listening to the story where this man came up with. He was there with his wife.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to tell her, or do you want me to tell it either way?
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, a man was there with his wife. They went to go watch her speak live, and he went up to Renee Bush afterwards, and he just kind of stared at her, and she was very intimidated. She was very intimidated by this. He was a larger man, not extremely large, but he was bigger than her. And there was nobody else in the auditorium except for his wife, who was trying to leave. She was up at the top. She was kind of urging him, "Hey, come on, we need to go. We need to go." And he looked at her and he said, I really didn't think that I would enjoy coming here. And I just have to ask, like, what about men?
Yeah.
And she just kind of stared at him. She's like, I'm sorry, I mostly work with women. It's not that I try to avoid men. It's just, I mostly work with women. I am a woman and this and that. But what do you mean? What about men? And he just looked at her with tears in his eyes, says, "We have shame too."
Yeah. And I think, yeah, exactly. And it was like, and she was just like, she's like, "I've never even really studied men. I just didn't even think about it." And then I think this was the story where she was like, the guy said something along the lines of like, you want us to be vulnerable. You want us to show our feelings. But then when we do, you shut us down or you freak out and, you encourage us to share. And then when we do, you don't know how to handle it. And I was like, dang, that is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very, it was very powerful, very moving story. And it really, I'm glad that whoever that man was, I'm very glad that he said that to her, because it allowed her to change her perspective and put a spotlight on that.
Yes.
You talk about it's a whole book about vulnerability and everything, but it's not shined to everybody.
Right.
Not typically.
Right. Love it.
Yeah. Is this where I talk? I'm letting you two run this one. I'm loving it.
No, of course.
So honestly, I think that I'm trying to remember the part in the book about the men part where you guys were just talking about and being vulnerable and how men can't be, because it's been kind of a conversational week for me. Like everything I've gone to has been about how men have to be a certain way and men aren't allowed to have emotions. And I just, I literally feel like I've had this conversation. It's only Thursday and I feel I've had it every day this week.
Wow.
And I just think that's interesting, because how many times do we not even realize that we're breaking down these barriers? We're opening up and we don't even see that we're holding on to that anxiety of, oh, I was worried what others would think of me, when really you were just did not, like Christina being vulnerable and explaining her fears of being out there, like jujitsu and karate, or jujitsu, right?
I did boxing, but I think he's doing UFC. But
that's right.
Yeah, I will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing boxing. That's what it was. I was like, I know there was a fighting one in there. You're doing boxing. And the first time you did it, you thought there was something wrong. You thought you were doing stuff wrong. But the thing is, we forget to realize that no matter who we are, that wrong is just another way of teaching us how to do it right. As long as the teacher, like that's what it is. It's I bet that was actually my therapy this morning. Is I was literally remembering a time in my life that I was holding myself back and I was filling out paperwork and I'm sitting at a desk and I didn't want to fill it out incorrectly, and it's all pen and paper. And I filled it out incorrectly. And instead of just saying, "Can I have a new piece of paper?" I was embarrassed. And then I had a check in the wrong place that I'm now fixing today with my taxes. And this was back in 2015. And to have that come up in my mind was a very big thing. And when I went in my session this morning, my reality was realizing that sometimes it's as simple as just asking for a new piece of paper. Sometimes it's knowing all you have to do is go print it again. And you won't have that anxiety 15 years later that you are 6 years later. You won't have that anxiety that you put on yourself in such a later time period.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love it.
I relate to that completely because I mean, I'm 100% like that. Anytime I have like perfectionist people pleaser tendencies. So anytime I make one small mistake, it's like through the roof. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm a horrible person, or I'm just, and then I put all those, because I think she said there's embarrassment. And then some of the things I feel are beyond embarrassment. It's humiliation, which is like that deep seated, like for me, I feel it in my face gets red, my chest gets tight. So, and I completely relate. I've made mistakes like that a lot. And so when I do, I'll be like, well, it's because I'm not talented, not smart, fill in the blanks. And it takes a lot of work to, like, you know, Gavin and I were talking, it's the boxing thing. And then I was sharing too. I shared this with you, Brandon, but I do an improv class. And like, you know, when I'm up on stage and like, I don't really necessarily get a laugh for whatever scene I was in. Or if I just had this happen. If I get feedback on something that I was doing, I'm like, I'm the worst one. Nobody wants to be around me. I'm going to screw up the whole set. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not funny. I'm not talented. No one said that. It was like one suggestion to help me get better. So yeah, I mean, I completely relate.
Really quick before we move on to the next segment, I want to bring some attention to this question real quick. Great question from the Breakthrough Show. Do you feel that there are different levels of vulnerability, and that it's simply us all having different perspectives on it? Do you want to take that first, or you want me to?
That's good. Yeah.
I will be right back. I'm going to go grab something for the next interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Can you put it up again, Gavin? I think that was
Yeah.
Okay, so do you feel like there are different levels of vulnerability, or that it's simply us all having different perspectives of it? Dang, that is a really good question. Yeah. So I'll take that first part. I think there are different levels of vulnerability. Yeah. Because I think there's different ways that I think there's levels of what we're comfortable with sharing, if that makes sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think, and yeah, I mean, the other, and then the last part to tackle that, we all have perspectives of a situation. So we can all experience one situation and have 10 different perspectives of it, if that makes sense. So I think she's right on both of them.
I think it's kind of like, I agree with you that it is a mixture of two. Cause I think it's like remember the food pyramid?
Yeah.
I think it's everybody's personal food pyramid, because, you know, all of our bodies are different. All of our minds are different. Yes. Some people who have dietary needs, maybe they're lactose intolerant. So there's no dairy in their pyramid. But then also maybe they're very, very comfortable with public speaking. So that being vulnerable to them doesn't exist in their pyramid. So everybody, they have their different things that they are comfortable with at different levels. But it's different for everybody on how important certain things are, how high they are, and if they exist or not.
So good. And I can add to that. I had personal experience with this. I have someone in my life who because I value high vulnerability, right? Like sharing a lot of things. Yeah. But I have someone in my life who it doesn't share that much, right? Like, but to me, this person shared something, and they may think that what their small share is not very like a big vulnerable moment, but for them it may be. So I think what she's saying is like everyone has different levels of, you know, vulnerability. So one situation where I may look at this person in my life and be like, you're not sharing with me. You're not sharing a lot. Like you're not being very vulnerable, but to that person, that could be huge to them, even if it's a small thing to me. So I think that was I'm glad.
Even on the flip side, somebody who overshares, they're not truly being vulnerable because they become numb. They're so used to telling everybody everything that's their wall in a sense. It's how can I be penetrated? How can I be vulnerable if I'm completely transparent? You know, you can't stab a gas. It goes right through it. So that's what I'll be. Really quick, where can we find the show, where it's going to be posted? You said it's Mondays at 1.
Yeah, so I think I'll be posting it on my personal Instagram. So that's just ckimbrough1, and then on my personal page, Christina Kimbrough.
Awesome. Can you type that in the private chat or the comments, either one? Then I'll make sure it gets in the comments.
Yeah, sure.
And then so you said Facebook and your Instagram was where it'll be at.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And then I believe, I'm not positive on this, but we should be putting it on the YouTube as well. Correct, Brandon?
Today, it's going to be like right after the show. It's already downloaded in my stuff, and that way it can go in today. And if anything, Christina, I can send it to you through Facebook, and that way you can share as well to get people to start liking, sharing, commenting, and loving on you. We're going to dive into, she's got her stuff in the background, Gavin, so you can click and share that. Perfect.
Already got it. Yep.
I love it, Christina. You have been nothing but amazing. I love what you're doing with book club. Keep being the unbelievably awesome human being that you are, because without people like you, the world's just everybody being the same. So love that you are you.
Thank you.
Like, look, great conversation. All of this, I love that people are jumping in here to talk about you guys, talk about this. Guys, book club. I'm excited. So our guest today is actually a very interesting one. Michael teaches consciousness movement and helps his clients, typically 50 and older, to create healthy habits of physical activity. In his online courses, he uses movement to create a learning space where his students challenge their brains and bodies, become less stiff and sore, and more mobile and nimble. They learn how to sustain short daily movement practices. That is a life changer for many of them. His teachings mingle science and practices to the use of movement as doorways to holistic well-being and personal growth. His speaking appearances are practical, inspiring, and leave the audience with some tools to start using movement to improve their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to introduce to you today Mr. Michael, and I'm gonna mispronounce his last name on accident, Landau. And when you get in here, Mike, just
I think it's Landau.
Fix me. Landau? All right, we're gonna go with that. Michael Landau. I'm not sure.
He's so handsome.
Wow, I have never seen a Michael that looks this beautiful.
Yeah. Are you there, Michael?
I think he stepped away for a second because I did put him in the private chat, letting him know we were going to bring him in. I'll take him out. Michael, when you come back, just jump on the screen and give us a thumbs up. So that was funny. Because I thought he was back there because it hasn't changed the whole time.
I know. I was down there. I was looking at it backstage. So I was like, I wonder if he hears us. Wonder if he's going to be jumping on.
Back to your computer. Take over for a second because I'm writing him a message to let him know that way when he comes back. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. But yeah, no, Christine and I, we definitely had a wonderful conversation the other day. Like I said, we probably could have talked for 2 or 3 hours easy. So definitely make sure you go check out that episode. For me, it was actually a really it was a bit of a therapeutic episode in a sense because it's made me. I didn't give away too much personal information just for the sake of my own privacy, but I did have to admit to some things that I'm not really proud of because I do have shame. I'm a genuinely happy person, but I do have shame and have things that I'm trying to work on. And it was a very beneficial episode for me, and I hope it'll be beneficial for you as well. Let's try this intro again.
All right, go ahead, buddy.
Coming live from, where's he located? Coming live from planet Earth. We have
his house.
Yeah, from his house on planet Earth, we have Michael Landau.
Good morning, Michael. We are so
how you doing?
to have you today.
Good morning. I was here the whole time. I just didn't see the unmute button and the camera button. Sorry.
Gotcha. You're good.
I do.
No,
you're
you
good.
did great. We're just glad we were able to get you on, and it wasn't anything really that big. So you work with. I love that you started with clients who are typically 50 plus, and you help them develop healthy habits of physical activity. Can you explain that a little bit? Because I love my dad, and he thinks that eating McDonald's after the gym is okay, and that's the movement he needs is because he went to the gym. Can you help explain the physical activity and the movement and why him being 70, he needs to be taking care of himself in a different way?
Yeah, why? kind of obvious, isn't it? Okay, let me start with my name, Landau.
Landau.
Where you see it, it's a German name, Landau.
Gotcha.
Original, and I'm in Chile.
Really?
South from you, it's winter here. So
I think
we're going to talk about that later because I'm very curious on how you ended up there.
Our guest got your name right. She goes, I think it's Landau. And she got it right. One of our viewer audience was guessing how to say it correctly because we always mess up names. It's just something we seem to do.
No problem. There was a famous American actor, Martin Landau.
Yes.
How did you pronounce his name? Same one.
Perfect. You don't know who Martin Landau is, do you, Gavin?
Maybe if I saw some of his work, but not off the top of my head, no.
Gavin's very young, so that he's 21, and it's not a bad thing. It's just he's just young. So what got you into this, Mr. Landau, and got you going into being a persistent growth leader?
Okay, so I work with movement, and I use movement as a tool for growth, for improvement, for well-being. So what brought me to it? What brought me to it is what brings many people to the line of work I've been doing, which is pain. I needed a solution. I looked for it. I found my way to it. Sorry. So yeah, I'm actually a professional musician, or have been. I retired a couple of years ago. So when I started my career as a pianist and accompanist, many hours at the piano, accompanying singers, I was at my first paid job after I finished the Vienna Conservatory. I lived in Austria before Chile. I was there in a dream come true. I got my first job. I got paid. This is what I want to do with my life. And my back was killing me. I just couldn't sit at the piano between one rehearsal and the other. I had to lie down on the floor on this wooden stage and just put my feet up so that I could survive the next hour. So I needed solutions. It was quite, I was desperate. This is my job. Yeah. I want to do it. I love doing it. And my body just doesn't cooperate. I can't do it. I was thinking I chose the wrong line of work. I just won't survive it. So this answers a little bit your question, how I got to this line of work. So I took the professional training in the Feldenkrais method, which is something that some people know. It's been quite popular in the States, but it is kind of marginal and alternative. And it's a method that works with movement as a tool for learning. So it is not really about movement as a mechanical thing. It doesn't look at the mechanics of how we do movement and try to improve it by repeating. It looks at how our nervous system works. So when I work with people, I look how they organize themselves to move, to hold themselves up, how they hold their head, how they turn, the very basic functions that we do daily and that are very individual and never optimal. There's always something to improve. And when you improve something in the very basic way you move, for example, how you hold your head on top of your spine. I don't have the right answer. I'm not teaching you the right way to do it. I will look how you do it and how we can play around it so that you have more choice.
Yeah.
So the beauty of this work is that it is zero dogmatic. I don't teach you to follow a model. I don't give you a model. I help you create a learning space in which you can improve in whichever state you're in. So there, going to your father, I think the fact that I work with people who are typically retiring or becoming more sedentary, it just happened by chance. These are the people that got to me to begin with, and it kind of went that way because this way of learning works for babies, works for young people, works for high performance athletes or musicians. I worked with musicians when I was still a practicing musician. So and of course, the older people in our society, in the way we live in the modern world in urban environments, tend to become more and more sedentary with time. And so we kind of take it for granted that with all the age, it's downhill road. You can't avoid it. It's deterioration is inevitable, and this has so much to do with our way of life, with the way with what we do in our daily life, and not really with age. So you see you look at societies where retirement is not a concept. People don't just stop doing what they do because they reach a certain age. They go on doing the same life they did throughout their lives, and they retain their mobility. If you use it, you retain it. It doesn't have to go downhill. So this is where I found myself helping people find that, and the good news is that this is reversible. If you stop moving, you feel that your body doesn't cooperate, that you find it hard to get up from the chair or park your car or to look backwards, it is reversible. You regain mobility when you start using it in a more varied way, and you find more options. So when about a couple of years ago, I decided it's enough. Piano, 30 years at the piano, and as a university teacher, and now I dedicate myself to this. But it's been kind of a sidekick for about 27 years.
So a lot of the people that you said that you work with then are people who are coming to you to try to find recovery. People who are trying to make change once damage has been done. What are some of the things that you would say to somebody who's trying to be precautious and prevent damage from happening, or prevent so much? It's inevitable that we're going to deteriorate, but to prevent some of the more drastic changes.
Well, the most basic thing: don't stop moving, and don't stop learning. Learning, you keep your brain active, and you stay young. And movement is just part of it. It's, they say in neuroscience, it's a use it or lose it brain. You don't use it, it goes downhill, but it doesn't have to. And when you use it, so there is the medical recommendation: learn something, learn a language, learn to dance, learn, create for yourself some kind of learning space. And what is so beautiful with this, with the method I'm applying and the way I work with people, is that it creates a learning space. It activates the nervous system. It allows you to really to stay on this upward spiral for as long as you live.
Yeah.
So
would you say that music plays a role in that and how you can see it? So like you were talking about you playing the piano, you're talking about you playing and being able to connect with it. With that being said, do you think that art, in a sense, the music and that, it really does help keep the body movement, it keeps the flow of things going? Do you play any other instruments than the piano?
I used to play percussion, all kinds of folks, percussion, Latin, Middle Eastern. This was kind of secondary.
So Gavin is a musician as well, and he plays the guitar, he sings, he hangs upside down sometimes and sings. He has a strong core. I've seen like videos of this guy just being all out there with his music. With that though, having people being able to understand why music connects. So when you're out in public and you're doing something and all of a sudden anxiety starts to hit in, do you have a song that you like to hear that like maybe revitalizes you, gets you back to feeling that good and keeps you going in the right direction, keeps your movement in the right direction? Or even a song that gets you working out? I have a song I listen to and it helps me wake up in the morning to get out my door and start like with a jog. Do you have music helps with that? Do you have stuff that you do that you would recommend people do or try?
Well, now I play the piano for fun. I just play it because I like playing it. So this is my way of just enjoying music. And of course, I have the music that I listen to. I don't have a song for specific situations. No, not really. I know some people have that kind of like, this is what I listen to when I'm sad. This is what I'm listen to when I need energy. Not really.
Do you have a song that when it comes on, you just have to get into it? It just fills you with joy. Like, is there like a specific song?
My work was in classical music.
Nice.
When I listen to music, I don't really listen to a lot of classical music, so I'm kind of all over the place. I have some composers that really like I feel connected to. Like, Schumann is my soulmate. We share the same birthday, June 8th, not the same year.
No. No. So
I kind of connect to this music in a very natural way. So I love playing Schumann because it made sense to me. I didn't have to work it out. It was like as if I was talking myself. So
I can definitely understand that. I share a birthday with David Bowie and Elvis Presley. So that's where like I feel like my music comes from. But then I also apparently share a birthday with Kim Jong-un, so I'm not sure what that means.
You're powerful. You're powerful. You share a birthday with one of our loyal listeners' oldest daughter, June 8th. So she's got that special talent too. One of the questions that came in from the audience is, do you use Tai Chi or Qigong for your movements?
No.
Simple answer.
No, I'm not an expert in these arts. Let's put it this way: the method I work with doesn't have its own movement. There are typical areas of exploration, but actually it's a way of looking at movement. It's not. Okay. It's not a sequence. It doesn't have postures. It doesn't have positions that you have to reach. It's an exploration of movement, and it can be applied to any movement at all. So when I work with musicians, I look at how they move with their instrument. And when I still do a martial art, kind of an obscure martial art that nobody knows about. It's called Boabom. And I built it into my classes. So I take movements from this martial art and explore them with my students without teaching them martial art. So yeah, I'm not an expert in Tai Chi or Qigong, but I actually stole some Qigong movements from videos on YouTube. There are these very basic, I mean, I didn't steal them. I just looked at the sequence and I thought, this could be nice to create a class around it. So I take it out of the context of the art that is not mine, but I use it to explore. So I could work with people, let's say, who do something that I don't know how to do. I worked with a golfer, for example. I don't play golf, but I could see what kind of movement he needs and where he had trouble with this movement, like this very strong rotation and powerful. You use your whole body to get this swing. So I could help him with that movement without being a golfer, because I explore movement. I saw where the difficulty is, where some parts of the body don't really participate, where he could organize himself to be more wholly engaged.
Yeah, one of our listeners is literally like, he's a big golfer. He loves to golf. First thing out of his thing was golf. And then he's like, I need your help. So you might have just got a new client.
Okay.
He also asked, how does one get in touch with their nervous system?
My immediate answer would be through movement.
If you were to show us these movements in any way, how would you, especially because I was going to ask this question in a different way and I can make these two connect, is there any advice you would give for younger people to prevent some of the issues that we may see in the older people of their movement? So if we were to do an example right now and you were to have us do some movement, he's a 21-year-old, I'm almost 40. Help us be able to make it till he's my age and I'm my dad's age to be able to get that movement. And the guy backstage, he's 107. Help us be able to make us move to be able to help us get what we would do. Can you give me some movements?
Yeah, I cannot promise you to change your life in 3 minutes, but I can give you a 3-minute sample of how it is that this works.
Yes.
And I can, just to answer your previous question, how do you get to how do you come in contact with your nervous system? And I said through movement. I would say that we have brains because we have movements. You look at the animal kingdom, creatures who don't have voluntary movement don't have brains. They don't need brains. So our whole thinking and telling stories in language are kind of secondary to this basic function of the brain. It is there because it organizes movement. So movement is really a doorway into this whole marvelous thing that we have up here and connected throughout our body, because and movement also is the way our brain develops in the first year of life, before language, before we start walking. We do a huge process of learning and development of the brain and making connections that is connected to movement, to discovering the body, discovering that you can control, you can manage it, you can do things voluntarily. So movement is really it's the language of the brain, one of my teachers used to say. So there we are. We can take a little sample class. So what I didn't tell you yet is that during this COVID area, when all teaching moved online, so now this is where it happens, in front of the camera, there is no direct contact with people. So do individual classes that are hands-on. This is not possible at the moment. So I came up with this mixture of the Feldenkrais method, which is the basic inspiration of how I explore movement, and my new discovery of habit creation. What is it that you do every day? How can you build little bits of movement into your days? And this was part of the fact that people got even more sedentary during this last year. We're bound to our homes most of the time. Many people spend even more hours in front of a screen. So this is what I've been doing in the last year, and it is. I was surprised myself because it was an experiment at how efficient this is. 3 minutes a day, every day, and I did this series of classes. It went on for 6 months, so I have 180 3-minute videos of movement classes, each one different exploration. So now we can do one of them, kind of an example. But the wonderful benefit of this is that it is really a no time issue. You can do it. You can find 3 minutes. Even the busiest people can find 3 minutes a day. And the fact that you do it every day really makes a difference. This is something that I've found out recently because it's not the typical way of teaching Feldenkrais. Usually you would come here to my studio, lie on a mat for an hour, and we go through a whole sequence of exploration. So it's a long class, and many people just never get to do it.
Okay, so 3 minutes a day. You're going to teach us our stretching. I'm sitting straight up. My head is on my spine. I'm grounded. Gavin is wearing much nicer clothes than me right now. I'm ready for this.
Great. So before we start, forget about trying to sit up straight and do a good posture. Just sit normally. But do come to the front of your chair so that you don't lean back. So you sit at the edge of the chair. If you have an office chair with wheels, it is not ideal. I recommend my students who do my 3 minutes sit on a normal chair, but it will do for now. Okay, so just sit up, look for a moment how you hold yourself without correcting anything. And now just once, turn to look to the right and see how far you can see without straining, without forcing it, without using the chair ability of turning. And then turn once to the left, compare how far you can see, how does your neck feel, come back to the middle. Okay, so now we'll stick to the right, okay? Well, I hope all of your listeners will do it with us, right? This is
Come on. Do it with us, guys. Get yourself. I'm watching the people in the backstage too. You better be doing it.
Of course. You can do it standing if you don't have a chair. Okay, so now we'll just stick to the right. Turn to the right slowly and come back without forcing, without stretching your neck. Stay with the same ease throughout. And then make sure with each turning to the right, just to the right and back, that your eyes are moving in their sockets, right? So you move your head to the right, and you also move your eyes to look to the right. This happens normally, but just pay attention to the fact that you do this. Feel how your right eye goes to the right, to the outside corner. Next time, feel how your left eye turns to look to the root of your nose, right?
Mm-hmm. I have a big nose.
So you see it with your left eye.
I do.
Yeah. Okay, come back to the middle, rest for a second, and now we're going to do Just one variation. You keep turning to the right easily, softly, slowly, without straining. And at the same time, you will move your eyes to look to the left. And you try to coordinate these movements. Your head moves to the right. At the same time, your eyes move to look to the left. And when you come back, they converge again to look forward. And do this a few times. Move your head to the right, your eyes.
This feels so unnatural.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, both my eyes went straight right when I turned my head, and I'm like,
and
"No, go back!"
The eyes tend to jump. So you try. You won't succeed, but you try to make it continuous and simultaneous, right? So that the movement of the eyes coincides with the movement of the head. Okay, let go, come to the middle. And now just once, look to the right to see how far you can see. See, maybe it changed a little bit. Okay, some people fall asleep in the class, it's good.
No, don't. I just always yawn a lot in the morning.
No problem.
This is relaxing though.
One more variation. We go now to the right with head and eyes and with the shoulders. So you move your left shoulder a little forward, your right shoulder a little backwards as you turn. Makes sense, no? You can turn a little more because you use your chest.
Brandon, I can feel it like stretching the muscles we worked out yesterday.
You go and you come back. Do it 3-4 times. So you turn with your chest, with your head, and with your eyes to look to the right. You can probably see a little bit more behind you. Okay, come back. Let's say we're around the 3 minutes. This is a small exploration. And now, just once, again, just once, turn to look to the right and turn to look to the left. Compare both sides, compare the movement. Compare how far you can see and how your neck moves. Okay. Did you feel any difference between the sides at the end?
Yes, when I turn to the left, it's just a tad bit tighter than when I turn to the right.
Same.
Yeah. So usually, and this was surprising for me because I was used to the extended long classes, things happen in 3 minutes. It's not spectacular, but if you notice a difference, something happened. And we assume that your body didn't change in 3 minutes. Something happened in your brain organization of the movement, right?
Yeah.
You do something different to the left than what you did to the right. It may be small, maybe sometimes you don't feel anything, but usually there is some difference. And this is what we're working with. We gave our brain some new information. The play with the eyes, the separating. This is a brain function that is called differentiation. You usually move your head with the eyes together without thinking. This is automatic. When you deliberately separate these two movements and do them in a strange way, like going in opposite direction, you awaken your brain to do something non-habitual, right? So there is some exchange of information. Your body sends information to your brain sends not the usual commands to your body parts. So something is happening, and this is how learning works. This is how we learn in the first months of our life, by trying, by playing with possibilities, by doing things that work and things that don't work. Usually they don't work when we just begin. So we make lots of supposedly mistakes, but this is part of the repertoire that we use for movement. So we kind of tap into this this mode of learning.
Yeah.
This is how it works. And it works. I can tell you from experience, it really it changes. And you imagine you do something silly like this, for 3 minutes every day, and
Yeah.
each time it's a different thing. You look at your feet, you look at your eyes, you look at your breathing, you look at your voice, what you do with your arms, and how we use our hands. There is so much to explore. This is infinite.
So where can I send people to see your videos? Because the question we got was about how do you have your videos anywhere so people could wake up and start doing these daily with you? Like, where can I send people? Because this is your website, and I'm loving. Do you move with awareness? You have a lot of good things here. I'm going to be reading through these later today because my favorite is like, do you celebrate yourself? What does that mean to you? As we share your link on here again, everybody go check out his website and all that. Where can I send people to be able to see more stretches to start their day with a very 3-minute easy stretch to get into that zone?
So in this page, in the homepage, it is persistent-growth.com. There is a little button at the bottom where you can sign up to my list. You get a little gift. There is a document I put up that is called 3 Things That Will Make a New Habit Stick. This is my whole new exploration of habit building. Like, what are the things you want to do every day that will make your life better? So movement is definitely one of them. And this is a little gift for people who sign up, and you also get another 3-minute sample of from this course. And if you're on my list, you will be informed of what's coming next. And I'm going to launch this 3-minute course pretty soon. I don't have a date yet, but it's coming. So. There will be an opportunity soon to start from day one and go on for as long as you. I don't ask people to commit to 180 days. It's too much. So it comes in sections. Start doing it every day, and it's a different exploration. So it's a habit, but it's not the same every day. So it doesn't get boring. It's always this kind of brain booster.
Yeah, you don't get that muscle memory kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, muscle memory. The thing is that what we call muscle memory is actually brain memory. Of course, the muscle don't have memory in themselves.
Yeah.
But it refers to automation, right?
Yeah.
We need to be able. Automation is essential. It is also a very well-established brain function. For example, now you sit up, you don't have to think of how you play with balance. You can move your arm, and you have to change something, or you fall down from your chair. So this is your relationship with gravity that is dynamic, and it happens all the time, is automatic. And we want it to be automatic. You don't want to have to invent it the whole time, because you won't be able to do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk, you can walk and talk to somebody, or listen to your phone, or read messages if you don't bump into things, because your way of walking is automated. So, of course, we want automation. This is muscle memory, right? Mm-hmm. But if you only count on this, and so many of us just stay with what we've learned before, and so we live on automatic pilot. There is no more learning. We can do our lives with what we already know. You when you do your job, when you are with your family, when you perform your daily duties, you have to count on what you already know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's amazing how much of what we do is automatic, and we don't even realize it. Things like even little things like breathing and blinking. We've been doing it this whole time, and now that I mentioned it, we're all conscious of it. But after a couple minutes, we'll forget about it again, and it'll become automatic. And then we try to think that like things like maybe like playing an instrument or like driving a car, that we surely have to be conscious of that. But you do it so many times, it becomes a second nature in a sense.
Correct.
Yeah. Playing an instrument is a good example. We spend most of it, we think of it as art and it is so creative, but actually most of our working time as musicians is automate.
Yeah.
Repeat until it becomes automated and I don't have to think about every move, because it has to be perfect, it has to be in time, it has to be fast. So automation, of course, is essential for us to be able to do our lives. But what I do, this is my contribution to the world, let's say, is take little parentheses in our daily lives and create learning space. And learning space is where you put on hold the automatic pilot and learn something new. When you learn something new, it's not automatic. Of course, you don't master it yet. So you play with. So you allow yourself this time where you can make errors, where you can play with variations, where you can do things that don't work, and where you can absorb new information.
Yeah, I like that. There's beauty in being. I clicked this one, and the other one came up. There's beauty. Yeah, there's beauty in being intentional about it. For example, we remind ourselves to not just breathe, but take a deep breath and focus on it. What we walked in. I don't think that's what I meant to say. What it walked into with intention, blinked with intention, ate with intention, breathe with intention. And I think that is a good way. I think that,
yeah.
I caught it after I started reading it, but I was like already into it. My mind was already going. So I think that's a great concept, though, because you're saying taking that 3 minutes, you're breathing, you're refocusing, you're making your body do two different things, like looking to the left while going right. She says, if now, my bad. But like, I wasn't picking on you. But with that, you're opening up your mind, you're opening up your airways, you're creating an atmosphere for you to be able to adapt, grow, and balance. And I think that's a phenomenal thing. You're getting ready to, when you launch, I signed up behind the scenes. I quickly set my email and my sign up information. And I want to be able to let everybody know, once you do get out there and you're out there doing this and you have your classes up, I would love to be able to like just try, like do this for a while, so show the difference and like document what we're doing, because I think opening up that mindset to a start of the day, whether it helps you be explosive out of bed or not, it helps you to be able to start your day in a better mindset. It helps you to be able to know that that 3 minutes is dedicated to you. I think that is a very good thing. And I look forward to your emails and learning more about this, because those simple movements are made. Like Gavin and I both did the same thing. We looked to the right, and when we went to look left, both our eyes shot to the right, and we're both like talking about it afterwards. And it's a natural thing that your body does. And I think you showed us that doing these little things, because that was not a hard stretch. It's not like you're telling us to go run a mile and then do this. It's literally you're sitting right there. You're able to make it easy on yourself. I think this is something where a lot of people who are just starting, that's why your 50 and up crowd, this is a great way of introducing them to things, introducing them to a healthier habits and things that all of us need. Can this be done with meditation?
Let me refer to the previous question about breathing. Breathing is a fantastic material for exploration, because breathing is part of our autonomic system. It's part of the automatic pilot. There are all of these body functions that just happen. We breathe when we think about it and when we don't think about it. Otherwise, we won't live. So, but but breathing is this one part of this whole automatic system of our circulation, blood circulation, the chemicals and electrical signals that run through our body the whole time. Breathing, we can control it and change it at will. So it's like a doorway into this whole huge automatic system. So through altering your breathing, you can really change what happens in your body on a very basic levels. And this also connects to to meditation. In meditation, the typical meditation that I learned, the Buddhistic Tibetan, the basic meditation is you focus on your breathing. You just keep coming back to the present moment through breathing. You just try to bring your attention and your focus back to the breathing constantly, and your mind goes away, and you bring it back. And this is the meditation I learned. So the classes I do are I'd say I call them at some point mindfulness in movement, because it is all about paying attention, really. Being in the moment, doing something, but it is in movement, so it's not just sit there and look at yourself. And so it is very much related to meditation. I would say this is mindfulness in movement is a good way of describing it, actually. And when you meditate, you do the same with your mind. When I work, the focus and attention is the body and the movement. When you meditate, the focus of attention is the breath and your mind. You look closely at what happens in your mind and how wild it gets. But so it's a different focus, but it's a very similar activity of focusing, of being in the moment and paying attention.
Yeah. No. Go ahead, Gavin. I saw you getting ready there. I'm sorry, I started to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good. I was getting ready to wrap up. We're getting towards the end here. Running out of time. So what we do at the end of our episode is we like to go around the board and we all say some either form of positive affirmation or final words or quick summary, just kind of wrapping up to send the day off with. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. Yeah, yes. We have all your links and everything dropped, so we got all that taken care of for you, so people can go follow you, find your program, find your work. I'm going to have myself start off, and then I will go to Brandon, and then you as the guest will go last.
Okay.
All right. Oh, one moment. There we go. So I want to discuss one of the things that we talked about at the beginning of this last segment here, which is continue moving. I think that's something very big that is always overlooked, is you have to continue moving and continue learning in order to stay active and stay young. The people that you see who start to really, really break down and really, really slow down is just that. When they start sitting around more than taking walks, when they, instead of watching something that's informational and entertaining to the mind or doing some kind of game, they just scroll through on social media all the time. You want to make sure that you're trying to exercise your mind and your body, so that way you can continue to stay loose, stay healthy, stay fit. Think of it like a car. If you have a car, you got to drive it around sometimes. You can't just let it sit in the driveway. It's going to start building rust. It's going to dry out the oils. It's going to get really, really stiff really quick. So you just make sure that you're taking yourself out for a ride now and again.
Nicely said, Gavin. Nicely said. I like that. So I started the show with a banana and was eating and all that. And I did that on purpose because we're all looking to get nutrition and fill ourselves up and everything like that and find our way to get our best selves. But the thing that made it interesting to me is that was a yellow banana. And I have it in my garbage I'm taking out now. But the banana's all dark and rotten, it looks like now, and all that. And it made me think that when I opened it, it was good. It was pure. It was clean. But then the minute I had it out and it was just sitting, not doing anything, how fast it broke away and the oxidation hit and it became rotten. Don't let yourself be like a banana peel that's just sitting on the side of the road and become rotten very quickly. Don't let yourself be influenced by the way others are. Let yourself be like the banana as a whole, because this has been down that stairs for like a week and it just started to get that bright, beautiful yellow that you want. And now it's gone and it's already a dark. Don't be dark. Find the things that fill you and keep yourself filled. Mr. Michael, thank you.
Yeah, so both of you already stole my closing words.
Sorry.
This is it, really. We have this magnificent creation, the most complex, organized system in the universe, as far as we know. Your brain is unbelievable and is unlimited in its possibilities. And we now know, science caught up with something that we kind of knew all along, is that the brain is plastic, meaning it can always grow, it can always change, it doesn't stop growing unless we let it. So remember, it's a use it or lose it brain. Keep using it.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you again so much for being here. Thank you to everybody who watched, liked, shared, commented. We really appreciate all of you. We will see you back here again tomorrow, bright and early. I am Gavin Kerr, Brandon Croucher, and Michael Landau. Have a wonderful day.